years of nothing. You're what, 24, 25 maybe?
No, I'm not. I'm talking about the whole caboodle here, the whole thing here, from the beginning of this thing I'm talking about. But well, good luck. I mean, I guess I can just say good luck here, and maybe you'll succeed in bringing about these things you claim. Unity of mankind and oneness of humanity.
We didn't actually say that was our job. I mean, we'd certainly like it to happen, but, you know.
Yeah, right.
I work in the computer game industry. That's what I do. I make games for a living.
That is his job. So I think that makes him a little bit, his claim better.
Not if he has to lie to do it.
Yeah. Anybody who's got to support their claim with "I am the representative and embodiment of an unknowable God" that everybody else has been referencing, they're selling you something. They're selling you snake oil. And I'm sorry that you can't see past that to actually see it. I realize that a lot of people seem to need this concept of a God in order to bolster their beliefs. I don't, and I'd like to encourage other people to get to a position where they don't, because we can keep the good and get rid of the bad. We can keep the good ideas wherever they come from, and there's no reason, as you noted, to actually believe the thing that you believe other than it makes you feel better.
Right. Well, yeah,
and
I think snake oil is a good analogy there, and I think that's why you guys need to do your work and without any interference, because there could be somebody out there trying to sell snake poison, and we got to be able to distinguish that.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks,
thanks for your time, guys.
Thanks for calling.
Yep.
We've got Deborah in Marysville. How are you?
Hi. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Good, Deborah.
Okay. I called because I've been enjoying your videos for the last week or so, and I'm a 56-year-old woman who became an atheist about a year and a half ago.
Oh, my.
And I just called up because I wanted to share my unborn-again experiences with you.
Please do.
I was a Christian. Well, the problem with being a Christian is once you leave the church, you're told that you never were a Christian. As far as I know, I was a Christian. I wasn't a very good Christian, but I believe that I, had some kind of a relationship with Christ, whatever that was. It wasn't much of a relationship, but I think there was something there, But now I think it's just my mind. But I remember the day that I became an atheist was April 19th, 2009. And I remember that day because it's my daughter's birthday, and I woke up. And this is after doing a lot of study on atheism and in Christianity, and I woke up one morning and I said, I don't believe in God anymore. It was just so natural not to believe in God. That was my first day of atheism, and it blew my mind that I was so nonchalant about it. After having been a believer for so long, and one of the things I became a universalist believer before I became atheist. And I used to study, I used to have horrible bouts of depression, suicide and suicidal thoughts and depression. And finally, when I gave up hellfire, I still was a Christian, but once I gave up hellfire, I no longer had depression. Now, I know people should go to the doctor when they think that when they're depressed, but I didn't. I just muddled through. Somehow I managed to keep my mind, Yeah. And I think it was probably because all this turmoil was going on inside of me, listening to what preachers say and knowing that it's not jiving with what I can see in real life, and trying to make it work, and it just never did. And so for about 5 or 6 years now, I haven't had any depression. So I think it had to do with the hellfire and all that. But anyway, I just want to thank you guys for being there. And it was actually Bart Ehrman's book that convinced me that Christianity was bogus. Yep. So, I really recommend his books and tapes and anything because he was a Christian too, and he gave up Christ after, and I went back and read the Bible again, and I thought, my gosh, there's so much that doesn't mesh here, so many contradictory things and
stuff you'd read before and didn't recall it.
Well, because he says because you're reading it one book at a time. When you put the books all together and you look at it, maybe part of me thought some of this stuff doesn't make sense, but once I looked at it all at once, I said, well, how many women were at the tomb, and what day was Jesus crucified, you know, and rose from the dead, and what about all these zombies that came out of the grave, and nobody seems to have said, you know, if you saw 500 people coming out of a grave, wouldn't you, there be a big newspaper report? You know, nobody reports on this stuff. A man rising from the dead, you know, and there's nothing. So,
well,
oh, sorry. Go
no,
ahead.
that's all right. I was just going to say we really appreciate you calling in to share that. It's always good to hear from other people who have managed to free themselves from religion as well. And I agree with you on Bart Ehrman. I recommend his books quite often. So I'm actually, it's nice to hear. I mean, I don't know, you know, how it affected the rest of your life, but this idea that you have been depression-free and that it was a, you know, morning realization that was rather nonchalant, I think is important, because I can't identify the day that I first identified as an atheist, but I do remember the period of time, and it was incredibly liberating. And I do agree that this hellfire and damnation stuff is not just a tool to keep people believing, but it's a particularly vile one, because I think it promotes, it damages individuals' mental health and encourages things like depression.
Yeah, I agree totally, because that's what happened to me, and I really believe it was hellfire all those years, even though I didn't identify it as hellfire, you know, that I was afraid. Because there was another thing about religion is the fear, you know, you can't live up to it. Nobody can do it, you know. I used to have fear because, gee, I'm not tithing, you know, or I sinned again. There I go cussing again. You know, now I think this is just normal stuff, you know. We do things that are wrong, and now I laugh at a lot of the things I do. Okay, so I can't stop cussing now, you know. I mean, I'm not even going to try anymore, you know. I can stop cussing when I'm in a, you know, with a group of people, and, you know, they kind of religious. I still have religious people in my family. Yeah,
it's one of the things of religion where many of them have gone to extreme lengths to make the normal, everyday actions of humans something that you should feel guilty for, whether it be sex or language or anything like that. And I find it so absolutely vile and hateful that it's one of the reasons that we do what we do.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, so thank you very much.
Thanks for calling, Deborah. Appreciate it.
Okay. Bye.
We've got, as a reminder, and we've got Luke, but hang on a second. Luke, as a reminder, after the show is over, we get together and go to dinner at Threadgill's, 301 West Riverside Drive. And for those of you who missed the announcements earlier on, this is the last week of 90-minute shows for now. We're going to be shifting to hour-long shows. There will not be a show next week, October 3rd. We're being preempted by the Mormons, but October 10th, there will be a show. We'll be in the new studio, and it'll be an hour show. So the phone number will be
starting
changing.
at the same time?
Starting at the same time, I think. We can double-check. But, yes, starting at the same time. So it's 4:30 to 5:30, and there'll be a new phone number, so make sure you tune in the live stream for that if you're out of town, or watch us live. But everything else is still the same. Luke, are you there?
Hey, yeah, I'm here.
Welcome to the show.
Hi, Luke.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I follow you guys a lot on YouTube and stuff, but really like your guys' show. It's great. I'm an atheist myself, and I debate with theists and agnostics and all that a lot, trying to just expand knowledge and make sure that my beliefs are tested and all that. I have a topic that I wanted to talk about today and see what your guys' thoughts on it are. All right. So people, humans, everything is increasingly complex chemical reactions, right? The brain is just basically chemical reactions happening to create a consciousness. And I have trouble when I'm trying to debate with someone or trying to talk with a theist, getting over the fact that it can be just a chemical reaction that's creating a consciousness, and that's how we know what we know, that's how we think. And they always fall back on the thought of a soul and the thought of someone gave us this consciousness, and that's how our shell is, happens. I was wondering how you guys get over the fact that you have to, at some point, agree that your thoughts are just chemical reactions in your brain happening.
How do we get over that fact? You mean how we defend it in an argument, or how we live with it?
I guess how you live with it, and
It's not a problem for me.
I guess how you could see someone else. You know what I mean? Like when somebody else has to get over the fact that, and I guess it's get over the fact, just live with the fact that they are. There is a margin of error. You could just everything in life could just be neurons firing. That's it. It could be all simulated. It could be the Matrix, quote unquote.
Oh,
correct.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what
the
I'm
one thing. That's the one thing I admit to taking on faith, is that the universe actually exists and is not just a illusion put on for my benefit. I know I can't prove that, but I'm comfortable assuming that that's not the case, because otherwise I'd have no basis for caring about anything if it was all just an illusion.
If you're kind of addressing going from the position of believing that you have some kind of soul to the position of accepting that you don't, how do you deal with that? To me, it's kind of like if you lived your whole life and somebody told you that you had an invisible third arm, and then you realize that you don't have an invisible third arm. That's just the way it is. I mean, it's like being disappointed that you didn't win the lottery.
Right.
Yeah. All right, I get it. I mean, I understand what you guys are saying. I was just wondering what you guys' thought on the whole. Like, how can you trust what you're thinking if you are a slave to chemical reactions in your brain?
Let's suppose that our consciousness was some kind of supernatural, spooky thing that it takes over our bodies and makes us dance around. I mean, how is that any better? How come some invisible, spooky thing is so much more trustworthy than chemical reactions?